I've been there, you've probably been there, we've all been there. You're over at your friend's house and they're serving up brisket or ribs or pulled pork or something awesome that they made on their new smoker, and they're showing off their new rig, and you're like, ooh, that's neat, that's cool. And then you go to look for it on Amazon, you realize they just spent $500 to $1,000 on a smoker. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Those things are awesome, but I'm gonna show you how you can do it with one of these, your normal backyard grill. It doesn't have to be this one. It can be a propane one, it can be a charcoal one, but I'm gonna show you how you can basically smoke food the same way they did for just a couple of bucks if you've already got something like this. Now, we operated for years on this thing over here, and this is a propane smoker, and it did us great. And a lot of people tell you, oh, propane smokers are cheating because it's propane, it's not wood. But that really expensive smoker that your friend just showed you, chances are, unless it's a big green egg or something like that, its fuel source is electricity, which I guess is cheating too. But with this thing, we're going to be using propane, so whatever. The end result is the same. But let's talk about the difference between grilling, barbecuing, smoking, what all that means. Now, a barbecue means low and slow, usually over smoke or an indirect heat source. Grilling is this. You're talking about a heat below, grill grates, you get your food done pretty quick. So when somebody invites you over for a barbecue and then they slap some burgers on, they're not barbecuing, they're grilling. And if you go to McDonald's and get the McRib, so anyway, let's show you how you can turn this thing into a smoker on the cheap. There's only a few things you're gonna need. The first thing you're gonna need is some sort of a smoker box. Now, this is the smoker box I've been using. It's stainless steel. There's a couple different designs. You see this one has a flat top and a flat bottom. There are also smoker boxes that have a V shape that fit better inside the flavor bars of a Weber. So depending upon what you're grilling on, you can get different boxes. This is the one I've got right now. When this one finally gives it the ghost, I'm gonna get one of those Weber ones that'll fit a little better into my grill. Now, the second thing you're gonna need is some form of wood to put inside the box. Now, just to show you what I'm using, this is the stuff that comes for Traeger, the pellets. And the reason I'm using these is because I found them really cheap. You can use chunks of wood, you can use these, you can use just about anything. You just want to load them in there. Now, I'm going to load this thing with much more when we get this thing going. The next thing you're going to want is some sort of a water tray. You don't necessarily need this, but if you're doing a longer job, you do want to have some sort of a water source in there to keep things moist and damp. Even the Traegers, a lot of those don't come with it. Some of the other ones do. So this is an optional item. You can use a tray like this. This is just one of the throwaway trays for the Webers. You can use really anything that's a small tray that you can put in the grill. So let's show you how you set it up. With my grill, you can see I have the grill grate there and I have the other one removed. Now, you can put both on and put this thing directly underneath the grill grate. I'm not cooking that much today, so I'm just gonna leave the one on. We're gonna take our box and lay our box right there on top of those two flavor bars. Now, the reason I'm putting it there is because I have one burner that runs underneath that and I can control the heat. What you want to do is run one of your burners, that'll be this burner, underneath that wood, and leave the other two off or on low, depending upon what you're cooking. Now, the next thing we got to do is let's crack this thing open and fill it up with more of those chips. Now, with this smoker box, I tend to try to fill it all the way to the top or close to all the way to the top with chips. You don't actually want to leave airspace in there because you don't want this to burn. You want it to smolder and smoke. So with that, you want to make sure you can get that lid down completely. And for the job I'm going to be doing today we're making ribs, I'm going to put this water tray right there. Now, if you don't have one of these smoker boxes, don't worry. You can also make a very similar thing out of tin foil, which you probably already have at home. Stay tuned, because at the very end of the video, I'm going to show you how to make that little packet out of tin foil that you can put on your grill. The last thing to do before we turn on the heat is fill our water tray here with water. You can start it with cold water. I like to start it with warm or hot water. It just gets it going a little bit quicker. Now, with that all set here, before we turn on the heat, I want to tell you about the shirt I'm wearing. These are the Build, Break, Repair, Repeat shirts right here from the Do It Yourself Dad channel. Any of these purchases help support the channel, so if you want to support the channel and have a little dad joke on your chest, check out down below. There's a Teespring ad below the video. You can order the stuff right from there. We're going to have more merch coming out real soon too. So now let's get the heat going on this thing and get it heated up so we can get our ribs going. So with my grill, you do need to start all three burners to get her going. Once I have all three burners going, what I'll usually do is turn this one down to low, this one down to low, and leave this one on high to start getting that wood up to temperature. Now you want to keep a really close eye on that wood in there, because when it starts to smoke, just a little bit of smoke starts coming out, you want to turn your heat down to either medium or even kind of halfway between medium and low. At least on my grill, you're going to have to figure it out on yours, because you don't want that wood to start burning. You don't want it to actually start flaming out of the box. You just want it to smolder and smoke. So we're going to let this thing go for about 5 minutes and let that get up to temperature, and then we can get our ribs on.
A few minutes later.
Ooh, it's already smelling good, and you can kind of see a little bit of smoke coming out there. That's exactly what you want. You don't want a lot of smoke, you just want enough to get the flavor coming through, and it'll keep going a little bit more as this thing continues to heat up. So now with everything heated, we're ready to throw the ribs on the grill. Now we like to smoke our ribs with a dry rub and then hit it with a basting sauce right before we pull them off. My wife has an Instagram cooking page. She's got all this stuff on there. I got a link in the description down below. If you want to check that out, hit her up and follow her on Instagram. She's got some awesome stuff on there. All right, it's tongs time. Now don't forget, you got to do the test 3 times. 2 times, not enough. 4 times, up, can't even do it 4 times. Don't be a show off. All right, so let's get these things on there. So we've got our full rack of ribs on there, and like I said, you can actually put the grate down. It will clear over this if you need to run both. I'm not, so we're just gonna leave it like this. I do have a link for this thing in the description below, and also the triangular one we talked about, and some options for wood chips you can check out. And you can kind of pick out what you want to get. You can usually also pick these up at your local hardware store or kind of grilling or barbecue supply place. So let's close her up and let her roll. Another nice thing here is having a thermometer on the outside. Now these aren't always super accurate, so I wouldn't rely on this for exact temperature, but you want to make sure you're not getting really high in the temperature range. You want to make sure you keep these things low. So like right now, I've got my 2 burners on low. This one is still cranked up. We're going to turn this thing down to about a half now that we've got that going. And we're going to watch our temperature. I'm going to keep this thing between 200 and 300 the whole time, and this job should take about 2 hours to complete. Now it's been about 10 minutes since I put it on, and if this is your first time doing this, I would always come over and check that smoker box. Make sure it's still smoking so you know your heat is high enough, but also make sure it is not smoking too much or starting to burst into flames or anything and your heat is too high. So just checking on that, and we look like we're good. Meat is looking like meat. So we're gonna come back in about a half hour and check on it again. All right, we're coming up on about a half hour, a little more than a half hour into the job. When you open it up, you should get greeted by that little plume of smoke, but not too much. It's still cooking away. Checking on these guys, making sure nothing's going wrong, and checking on that water tray. There's still about a 1/4 inch of water in there, so we're good. We're gonna button these suckers up, let them keep going. So we're coming up on about 45 minutes. We're gonna go in there with the temperature probe and double check. I like to use a temperature probe. Some people don't like to use them. I love these things. Now there are these, and I've got a link to this type in the description. You can poke this into the meat. There's other ones that you can actually poke into the meat and then connect it to your phone via Bluetooth, and you can set off alarms. So I've got links to a couple of different ones down below, but let's get in there and check and see what our temperature is. So the temperature is doing good, and we're well on our way. We're almost done with the smoke here. We're gonna let it go for a little bit longer. Now, something to know about smoking meat, pork versus beef and other things, all those hit a temperature where the collagen starts to break up, and that's what actually makes the meat tender when you smoke meat. And you want to hit that temperature, but you want to hold it at those temperatures for longer. That's why this meat gets more tender than if you grilled it or brought it up to temperature quicker. So get into temperature slower, leaves it at those temperatures for more time, making it more tender. So we're going to check the temperatures in a few minutes, and then we will baste it, let it roll a little bit longer. We'll take them off and enjoy our ribs. So we're coming into the end of our smoke here, and we're gonna add our basting sauce. What I usually do with this stuff is I flip the meat over, get our basting sauce in here. And like I mentioned before, my wife's got a Instagram page that's got all these recipes on it. She's got some amazing stuff. She's got recipes for these ribs, the rubs we put on them, everything, and it's all on there. So we're gonna get these things nice and coated with a coat. You don't want it so thick that it's dripping, but you want it evenly distributed over the whole thing. Make sure you get the ends. And you can see here the way the ribs are just starting to protrude out a little bit. That's how you know you're getting close to done, is when those things start coming out and poking out a little bit. We're gonna take these and flip them. The other way you can tell is you see the way it's floppy, it's not firm. That's how you want these when they're done. So now we're gonna flip them. Get the other side with that basting sauce. And aren't those beautiful looking ribs now? Oh, those are looking good. All right, we're gonna get this closed back up, let it go for a bit longer, and then pull these off, and then it'll be time to chow down. Now, I mentioned a little bit earlier that you don't actually need that tray that I have in there. You can do it with a piece of tin foil. I'm gonna show you how to do that right now. You wanna lay out your piece of tin foil flat and then put your wood chips right in the middle. We got our wood chips right in the middle, and now you're gonna make a burrito. If you don't know how to make a burrito, I'm gonna show you how. You just take the two ends here, fold them over. Try not to burn my knuckles on that thing. And then we're gonna fold it over and wrap it up. Now you got yourself a burrito. So if you're not gonna use a tinfoil method, at least now you know how to make a burrito. There's one last thing you gotta do to this. And that would be to take a pokey thing. It could be a knife, a harpoon, or in this case, a barbecue shish kebab skewer, and poke a couple little holes in the top. Not too many and not too big. You want enough that the smoke can come out, but you don't want to be letting a lot of air in. You don't want, remember, combustion happening there. You just want it to smoke. Now this packet you can throw on top of your coals or inside your grill, and you'll be good to go. So it is just starting to get dark out, so it is time to pull these things off. And you can see here, smoker box is still going. It's been well over an hour. It's still churning out lots and lots of smoke, which is great. Those ribs look awesome. So let's pull those things off, bring them inside, and chow down. Now, if this video has helped you out at all, please give it a great big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget, I got all that stuff down in the description below. You can check it out, but you can also get that at your local hardware store or barbecue or grilling supply store. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. We got lots more of this kind of awesome stuff on the channel. Check out everything else we've got. And of course, thanks for watching.